Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the OutMarket.Pro podcast. I'm your host, Mark Stein. Generally, I chat with business owners and other professionals from my community and beyond to learn more about their insights, their passions, and expertise. My guest today is Jeremy Thompson. He's the owner of Swift Moves LLC, a moving company in Pinellas County, St. Pete, Florida. So, welcome. Glad to have you, Jeremy.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm very much looking forward to this. To be honest, I've never done a podcast before, so I love this. I'm really looking forward to this. Been looking forward to it all last couple of weeks.
Great. All right. Well, let's get started with what should be obvious, how you got motivated to create your business. What led you into the moving business?
Well, I've always, since I was very young, I've known I want to start a business. It's just something I wanted to do. I don't know why. It's just something I've always wanted to do. And I never really could find my passion. I just didn't really know, I come from a small town, so there wasn't like not a lot of incubators there, I guess you could say, for businesses. And then when I moved to St. Petersburg in 1998, I started going to school, and I worked for this other moving company who's still in business, but they had been in business for about 15 years then. And I started off, I was just a young college kid, and I started off I think it was $8 an hour moving furniture back in 1998. And after that, I did that, and I was a helper, then I was a driver, and then they actually I told them, hey, I can't do this. I've got a little college under my belt. I was 22. I had 2 semesters of college, thinking had graduated from Harvard at that point. But anyway, so I told them, hey, I got to get another job, and they offered me a job. They say, hey, do you want to come? They offered me a job. They said, do you want to come work in the office, and we can kind of teach you, what we're doing. And I was like, more than happy. So I kind of got a job in management at that point, and learned all the ins and outs. I was very fortunate because the guy I did work for was he taught me a lot about business, taught me that you need to treat your employees right, you need to treat your clients right, you need to treat all everybody involved with you. You've got to treat them right, because the moving business, they have this reputation that we've got to get over with every person we call. It's not as bad as it was about 10 years ago, where everybody who calls us that it's a bad industry, that they're just here to rip you off, that and starting kind of with that guy who I worked with, and starting up with us, and other companies, we're kind of turning that around, where the moving industry is not known for ripping people off. We're kind of getting more legitimacy as time goes on. But that's basically how I started. That's the long answer of how I started. Is I worked for another guy. He taught me everything else. I always say, if I would have applied at I just happened to apply at this moving company, maybe if I would have went to a plumber or electrician or something, I'd be open one of those shops or something like that. But I enjoy what I do, and that's how I got into it.
So it was mainly interest in business and not so
Yes.
much what it was, but then you developed expertise and might as
Yes.
well do this.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
One of the preconceived notions I think people have about movers in general that you probably always have to get beyond is that they're not going to care about your furniture and your belongings, and they're just going to throw it around, throw it in a
Yeah.
truck.
Mhm.
So I think communicating that you care and that there's a sense of care uh, from your employees, I think is probably something you've got to get over as well.
Yeah, definitely. When we do training, we number one, we train our employees to do that, and all the employees that we do have, we've actually got a really good crew right now. I got a new general manager a couple of months ago, and he has hired some really good guys that really do care. And so, also to get over that, so when somebody calls into us, we go over all this, and we assure them that, we're not just going to throw your stuff around. That's not us. All our guys, they're full-time employees. Plus we do background checks, we do drug testing, we do training. So all this to ensure that they get a quality service. And what has, what has definitely helped is, when I started in the industry back in 1998, there was really no internet, but now it's all about reviews. So people can go and look at the reviews online beforehand, and they can see that, we have 300 or 400 reviews on Google, but they're not bad reviews. They're not saying these people threw this around. They're saying we took care of their furniture. So the review system, while it does have some negatives, has definitely helped us out in a positive way more than anything, showing people that we don't just, throw their stuff around.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're having a really good experience with dedicated employees, and in your industry and really in physical industries in general, that's not necessarily the case. It's difficult in general for companies to find good employees.
Oh,
so what do
yeah.
you is it luck? Is it
Well,
what do you attribute it to?
Well, luck's definitely always in there, but also, we're nice to our guys. We talk to them. We don't just tell them, hey, you've got another job to do. Go do it. No matter what. We try to treat our employees right. We'll tell them like, hey, you may have another job. Are you good with the job this afternoon? And we talk to everybody beforehand every morning, because the moving industry, it's one thing. It's not an 8 to 5 job. We tell everybody when we hire them, it's not an 8 to 5 job. We had it's noon now, and we just had a crew that got in. But we've got another crew that has another job. We told them beforehand, like, hey, you've got this other job. You okay? They're like, yeah, we want that job. And so communication is a big deal, just communicate. Plus we compensate them, the compensation is up there, but also that's, we have to charge higher prices, but that's just, there was a very, very clear, and it's probably for most industries during and after COVID, it's like right down the middle. Before COVID, employees were one way. After COVID, we feel, after COVID, definitely harder to get dedicated employees. You have to pay them more, because during COVID, we found that, the labor force has shrunk dramatically, because people found out that, hey, we can go do stuff our own. They can go and they can start their own business, because people were kind of forced to, they were kind of forced to do, like, whether it be Uber Eats or Uber or whatever it is, or just, good old American hustle. A lot of people did that. So it definitely shrunk our workforce. It used to be, I would put an ad in the paper, online, whatever you call it. I still call it the paper. But, we would get 15, 20 applications, and after that, you might hire one people. But now if we get 3, we are thrilled, and we're doing our best to go after those people and get them, because it's just not, the workforce is not there like it used to be. And for the ones they are, you have to compensate them well. You have to treat them well. It's definitely become more of a, like an employee side thing. It used to be like, you work for me, do what I do. Now that's it, or not, you're out the door. But now it's just totally different. You've got to treat people with respect, and you've got to understand, like, we're in this together. I'll do what I can for you. If you do what you can for me. And we tell every customer, we have training. I tell every single, not customer, but every employee, I say, look, this is what it is. And I promise you, I'm going to work as hard for you as you work for me. And I will put as much effort into making sure you make money as you do it for me, if that makes sense. And it kind of, you have people come and go, but we have a core group that understands what we're doing, and we try to keep them around and do what we have to do to keep them around and make them happy as employees. But I don't mind doing that. I want people to make a living. I want people to be able to pay their bills, so. Yeah.
Are your folks contractors, or are they
Oh,
employees?
no, they are definitely employees. Per Florida, I'm not sure if it's national, federal law, or Florida law, movers cannot be 99, is it W-99? Is that what they're called? 1099s?
1099s.
Because a 1099 employee can number one, they have to have their own tools, and they can go and come as they please. They can't do that here. They're on a job. We send them out. They have to, if they don't complete that job, we have to let them go. Doesn't happen a lot. Doesn't really happen at all. But no, they are definitely, they are full-time employees of our company. This is something that we also try to convey to the customers. Also, it's kind of our sales pitch, I guess you could say, that our guys, they're not going to be doing road work on Monday, tree work on Tuesday, moving furniture on Wednesday. No, they work for Swift Moves full time. This is what they do for a living. And we train them as much as we can. They've got a lot of experience.
Do you do residential and commercial moving?
All the time. All the time. Yeah. I would say 95 to 98% of our moving is definitely residential, apartments, condos, houses. And then just a small portion is offices. And no particular reason we don't really market to offices, because it's kind of hard to market to offices, and it's just not something we market. Down the road, maybe that's a line of revenue, but we just it's people in apartments, and that's where our area of expertise is.
What's your footprint within Florida, St. Pete? What's your footprint?
Well, we're located in the middle of St. Pete, or downtown Old Southeast, which is pretty much downtown St. Pete. Our local area is pretty much from Venice up to Newport Richey / Hudson, kind of Spring Hill a little bit, out to Lakeland. That's kind of we call that our local area, but we are licensed for the entire state of Florida, and we do it all the time. I mean, we've got a job tomorrow going to New Smyrna Beach. We've done Tallahassee. We do Miami, Fort Lauderdale all the time. We do Jacksonville all the time. But for the most part, once again, probably 95 to 98% of our jobs are in that kind of oval or half circle that goes from Venice to Newport Richey out to Lakeland.
Okay. We're meeting here first part of September, right after a hurricane and some flooding. Are you doing any moves related to the flooding? And what's been your experience, and what have you seen with that on the ground?
I had 6 calls on Saturday because of flooding. Just because, I mean, it is what it is, and a lot of people, a couple of them can't take it. They're paying for themselves, and a lot of them are waiting for insurance money. They've got, which it should, the insurance has to pay for them to move out, because it's not like a $200 move. I mean, when you've got to move everything in your entire house that was on the floor out to storage, they've got to wait for, that money to get approved by the insurance, but we are definitely 100% affected by that. We get a lot of calls. We had 6 on Saturday, 3 yesterday, probably 2 or 3 already today, asking about insurance because their stuff flooded, or not insurance, but a move because their stuff flooded.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of damage, mostly flooding. We were very fortunate again to miss the main thrust of the hurricane. And I'm just personally, I'm in an area east of Clearwater in Oldsmar, Florida. Nobody's ever heard of it, but there's flooding all around us.
Yeah.
And we were high and dry. So I really feel grateful for that.
Well,
and I feel for the people that in these other areas. And my partner, Isabella, works for the Small Business Development Corporation, and she's going to go up near Tallahassee and where the hurricane hit and help give loans, approved loans to people that whose businesses were flooded. Yeah, go ahead. You were going to say something else about the flooding.
Now, I was saying real fortunate. And we also have, we're not just a moving company. We also have storage. And, luckily, 2 things. We're like on a little hill. And also we're surrounded by, we're across the street from the water, like from Tampa Bay. We got this really good location somehow. But also right across the street from me is the Army Reserve. And then across from that to the left is the Coast Guard. So I'm thinking they protect that pretty well, but we're up on a little hill. But also, I mean, 2 blocks each direction. I drove here on Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday. And the water was up to past the speed bumps. You have pretty big speed bumps, and the water was all over these neighborhoods. And I'm driving in thinking, we have storage, and I'm thinking, oh man, but it would have had to come up 5 times as much for it to get the little hill we're on. We really lucked out. It didn't get close to our storage stuff. So
Good.
we have insurance for it, but still, you don't want to do that. We got really lucky. Yeah.
Well, my next question, I want to give people a real idea of what running this business and doing this work involves, because my hunch is that most people have had movers move them before, but most probably don't see it happen. They're already relocated, and I don't think most people really know what's involved in doing this work. So, and I want to get to funny stories and horror stories later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because I'm sure you've got plenty of those. But just give me the straight skinny
what it takes
on what it's like day in the life of a mover, or however you want to frame it.
Well, it's something we also tell customers every day. So it's not just you're not just getting the movers when you hire us. I can't speak for other companies, but I'm pretty sure it's the same way there. But it's not just the movers. The movers we meet here at 8:00 most days. They get in the truck, they go move the furniture. They have a pretty hard job, but it's not just them getting stuff done. I tell all the clients, you've got me, the owner, then you've got my sales manager, you've got my general manager, you've got mechanics. We're all here in the background, turning knobs, hitting switches to make sure that job gets done efficiently, because so much stuff happens a lot of times just to get one job done. So, just a couple of things like, the gate code to get in the apartment trunks. We got to call the apartment complex, or the phone number for the client. We put in the system one wrong, so we've got to send them an email. Or, these guys ran out of gas. They didn't check the gas. They had a flat. Or just all types of stuff. But it's mainly, it's a lot of just nuts and bolts of stuff. A lot of logistics. Good. Yeah. Thank you. A lot of logistics getting it done, which to me, I kind of, we love it. Me and the guys, like we love it. It's just like what we love to do. You know what I'm saying? Like problem solve, problem solve, problem solve. That's what I tell everybody who works in the office. Like, we're not coming here just to answer phones. We're not coming here to tell guys what to do. We're going to have 1,000 problems a day, and we're going to have to solve every single one of them, because we have a commitment. Like, we've never, very fortunate, we booked thousands of jobs throughout the last 7 years. We've never once stood a customer up saying we're not going to be there, whether we have to go find a truck, whether we have to take our own truck, whether we have to rent a U-Haul van, do something to get that job done. I've been on plenty of moves myself. Haven't been on anything lately. Been very fortunate. Lately I haven't had to go because we have employees for that. But if I'm going on a move, something has probably went wrong somewhere. Maybe not even our fault. We'll get to that later. But like I've had, just one story. A truck's going down the street. Drunk driver hits the truck, hurts our guys. Like, you're not expecting that. Like, you don't expect that at all. But it's just something that has happened in the past. So I got to go out and do the job. I'm not just going to stand the customer up, So just whatever we have to do to get the job done. And there's so many different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different people that we deal with every day. I don't want to say players in the game, but stakeholders, I guess you could say. I've got to deal with. I've got to I've got to send the insurance to the. I've got to email my insurance lady so she can email the a building that's being built in downtown St. Pete. I've got to talk to the gas people because they didn't deliver them around amount of gas in our trucks last night. We have a service that comes and gasses up the truck every night, which is a really good service, by the way.
Wow.
Kind of saves.
Cool.
Saves. Yeah, it's really cool. And they charge us like $3 cents a gallon or something like that extra. So it's actually really cool. And there's this person thought they were booked for the 3rd, but they're really the 2nd. So why aren't we there? Even though we sent them 4 emails, and they're wondering why we're not there this morning. So we got to figure that out. Or we don't have enough boxes. So we've got to take boxes out. The client told us we were going to pack 30 boxes, but we get out there. That's not 30 boxes. There's 70 boxes. So we've got to take the boxes. We've got to drive the boxes from St. Pete to Riverview just because they need boxes, or the guys got to go get boxes. Just a lot of stuff like that. Just little bitty stuff that, we have processes in place to make sure that doesn't happen. And a lot of times we do we do on our end, we do every single thing right. And then one thing, that's out of our control goes wrong. We've got to fix that problem. We're not just going to walk away or tell everybody tough luck. It's up to us in the office to get that done. That's our job. We might not be moving furniture up and down stairs, but it's still like a little bit stressful, which, we asked for it. We like it, not complaining at all. But, we've got to get that done. We've got to get all these jobs done, and we do our best to get these jobs done. And, what else? Go ahead.
How many clients do their own packing of their boxes? What percentage? And how many
probably about 95% do their own packing. That 95%. So that all these 95% I'm saying, that's just a guess, by the way, but it's probably about that much. I mean, we don't most clients pack up their own stuff. We would love to pack it up, because when we get to pack stuff, you got to realize our guys get to work in the air conditioning, and, it's a longer job. We're a business. We're out there more. We get paid more. We make money on the boxes, and we tell them that we have to upsell the boxes, and we make money on the packing, So about 95%.
Well, that's good. I'll share one of my horror stories. I helped a friend move. That was their agreement, several people. And when we got there, everything was like at least knee high on the floor. No, not even garbage bags putting stuff up. So it was horrible. I hope he doesn't watch this podcast. So walk us through the steps when somebody calls you, and we don't want to get in infinite detail, but somebody calls you to organize a move. What are the basic steps? And there is a lot of prep that goes into that. What are the basic steps to get them from scheduling to the move is done?
Good question. Yeah. Well, so we'll take they call us, and then we ask them some questions, the basic stuff, the name, what city are you in, what city are you going to, are there any stairs or elevators involved? Then we ask about the furniture. And we've got a pretty good proprietary formula to tell how long the job's going to go. It's going to take 2 hours or 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. And our estimate can only be as accurate as what they tell us. We're by the hour, so, it just varies. The hourly rate varies depending on different situations. But so if they tell us they have, 2 boxes, we tell them 2 hours. Yeah, that's not what it is, but I'm saying, we'll give them an estimate for 2 hours. Then let's say then they book the job. After that point, we get their address, we get their email address, we send them a confirmation email. We call it in our system. It's called a scheduling acuity. It's a really good system, and they will get an email from that. They do a DocuSign saying that everything is all their paperwork signed, all their phone numbers are right, all that good stuff, and they put a credit card on file. Then after that, we know they're going to move. Let's say they're going to move on September, 23rd or whatever. Come the 22nd, 21st, we'll make a schedule. We send the schedule out the day before to the guys. They show up here the day of the move, and everybody shows up here most of it at 8:00. And then we get our trucks ready, get all the equipment we need, make sure they have the hand trucks, the 4-wheelers, the blankets, the tape, the shrink wrap, any boxes that we may need if it is some packing. And we get all that on the truck. Then the guys drive. Before that, by the way, we always call each customer 2 days ahead of time to confirm. If it's the 23rd, we'll call them on the 21st just to make sure that, hey, you're still good to go. Any changes, mostly everybody's good to go. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody like, oh, I've got to reschedule. Last week, we had a lot because of that storm. We had a lot of rescheduling. But so the guys, they get in the truck, they leave, and then they leave here, and then they'll call the client 30 to 45 minutes out, let them know, hey, we're this far away. We'll be there at 9 o'clock, whatever it is, and then they go and just do the move. And then afterwards, they take payment. Our guys, they have an app on the phone that they can take payment, or they take cash, and then they just bring everything back here, and we put in a system and do all that good stuff.
Cool. Let's see. One other thing about just day-to-day activity, how do you protect the guys and gals? You may have some women too.
We do, actually. We're very proud we have a couple of women working here. Yes.
Good.
As movers. And while we're on that, we'll go on that. We didn't have any we've had two women that have worked here for about 3 or 4 months apiece now. And it's not that we never wanted to hire women. We just never, there was never qualified applicants that came in. But then we had 2 that came in within like a week of one another. We hired both of them, and not knowing, hey, who knows, but zero one of our guys said anything except, yeah, she's fine, no problem. We'll work with her, no problem. Nobody said anything. And we haven't had one client say one thing about a woman working on the job. And that's something we don't post that on the internet. We don't brag about that. But I will say on this, extremely proud of my company, and to myself to a smaller extent, and the women that we get to do that, because it's definitely a male industry. But we're really, really happy that we have those women on staff. Like, really happy. We don't advertise or anything like that. But man, we're like, that's great. Like, really, really, like, you see me smiling, really happy about that. I'm sorry. What was the question again? I kind of got distracted there.
No, that's okay. So how do you encourage people to protect themselves, especially their backs, from injury? What are some preventative things? And this could help other people who, move gym equipment or do whatever we do. How do you coach them to protect themselves?
It's just training. We have, when they hire them, you just lift from your legs, and don't use jerky motions. And we have so many tools, hand trucks and 4-wheelers and appliance dollies. For the most part, they're not at risk because they're using these tools. Now, where you do have problems is going up and down stairs. Once again, just, you want to lift through your legs, don't lift through your back, don't use jerky motions. And more than anything, when you're lifting a piece of furniture, you have to communicate with your partner. I would say more injuries occur because of lack of communication between 2 people. One person, you have to realize, so if I'm on this side and I've got a dresser and I turn it that way, it does the opposite to the guy on the other side, and so that's where, they turn that, and it automatically turns that guy, and it's like, oh man, my back, whatever. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. But if you communicate and say, hey, I'm going to turn this to the left a couple of degrees, and we teach them that, if you communicate with your partner, the injuries stay down. And I say that all the time: communication, very important.
Actually, I injured myself doing a move, lifting a portable table upstairs, and I did a jerky motion as I was lifting it, and doing it by myself, and pull my back out. And boy, you hear it, you hear that click. And I've got a acupuncturist. She's been on the podcast several times. So if you ever have any of your guys or gals get injured, let me know. And
definitely.
She took me from a 9 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10 in 2 sessions within a week.
Whoa. Wow.
So it's not magic, but it's close to it. Okay. Yeah, that was really helpful. And I think helpful for a lot of people, because, we move gym equipment. A lot of us do that sort of thing, not professionally. So knowing how to protect yourself, I think, is helpful. Okay, let's get into some of the funny stories first. We'll talk horror stories later, but what are some funny experiences that come to mind, and maybe the funniest types of things that you find that people need you to move? You probably discover you're in people's homes and you probably discover weird stuff and funny stuff.
Well, I don't know. We've discovered, if you can imagine, we've discovered a lot of marital aids, I guess you could say, that people that forget they put certain places. And it's just kind of funny when you're pulling this out and you're like, you got to pack it. You're like, what do you want me to do with this? And they just usually just grab it and run away, But I mean, that's a lot of them, like, yeah, that's the
So
marital aids.
sexual
Yes.
aids. Okay.
Yes. That's a lot of them. Let's see, funny stories. I had one where, one where I was just going it was a mobile home, and I walk in and I've got a dresser in my hands, and I take a step and I fall through the floor of the mobile home, and it's up to my waist, We've had plenty of dog stories where the dog's just, dog gets out and runs away. And it's kind of funny story. Man, you kind of put me on the spot with the funny stories. I've got more scary stories than anything. Funny stories. I can't even think one right now.
Okay.
I was thinking of
jump to the scary or horror stories then. And if you think of funny ones, you can intersperse.
I'll come back. Well, the one that always gets me, and this really, I was moving somebody, and we're moving a dresser down some stairs, and it's got like a break in the stairs where it goes like that. It's not straight up and down, and
like a landing,
pretty much.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, the dresser, we couldn't make that turn. So I'm like, man, we're gonna have to take these drawers out. She's like, okay, no problem. So we start taking the drawers out, and I take the first one out, and there's a loaded 38 snub nose pistol pointing at me, loaded. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, it freaked me out because this is a loaded gun pointing at me in the face. That was really scary. I had this, and then another one. I mean, there's nothing we could do with that. I just kind of said something, but kept my mouth shut, because that's, they put my that's really the only time I think my life's been in danger, because it was a loaded, and they have sensitive triggers on those things. So I was very, very concerned about that. I had another guy, it wasn't me. Him and somebody else went to, knock on the door, and they opened the door, and the wife says, grab this, and they've got a dresser in their hands or something in their hands, and they're walking out. The husband comes from the bedroom. I guess it was a divorce situation, with a gun in his hand, and says, y'all are going to move what I tell y'all to move today, pointing the gun at these guys. And they said, oh, yes, sir, no problem. They take it to the truck and then just run down the road and call the police. They're like, we're not going to do this move, So that's one, and let's see what else. Man,
how about you get to the job? You ever get to the job and you miscommunicated and they have no idea that you're coming?
We've had a few where we go and it's the day of. It's like, oh, I thought you were supposed to be there tomorrow. We've had plenty of jobs where we get there. We call the day before. We tell them we're going to be there at 9 a.m. on Thursday, whatever. We call them Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever. We're going to be there at 9 a.m. on Thursday. We show up. There's another moving company there, and they had double booked. And I'm like, we called you. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Why did you, we got to pay our guys. That's also why we take a credit card on file, because there's $100 cancellation fee, because, they signed paperwork and we did our job. We've got to pay our guys. We've got to pay gas. And that's, that's what there's $100 cancellation fee. We've had plenty of those. Let's see what else I've got. When you put me on the spot, I can't think of them, but I could tell you 10,000 different crazy moving stories. Like the day. So when I first started, here's one. I'll tell you this, the very first job I ever did for this company, I started this company. We started off, with a U-Haul truck, just renting a U-Haul truck. Very first job, we've got a small U-Haul truck. We do the job. We're finished with the job. We're happy with the job. Customer's happy. We're driving down the street. We've got somebody flagging us down. Hey, like, what's going on? We had left. This is the very first job we ever did. We left the back door open of the truck. So all our equipment's falling. Very first job we ever did. So we kind of learned our lesson on that one. It was the very first job. And I always thought that was very funny that, like, okay, this is, if I'm going to open a business, I'm going to have to deal with a lot of stuff like this. And, I had another one too that I was just thinking of. Kids are always funny, saying funny stuff, but that's not. I had a guy one time, this happened probably about a year ago, I think. And it's like about a 3-day move. And I knew he had a nice car. And the third day I went there, I was just going there to supervise on the third day. And he's pulling his Lamborghini out of the garage. And I was like, hey, what are you doing with that? He's like, oh, I'm just going to park down the block. I said, well, do you mind if can I kind of ride with you in the Lamborghini? And so he gave me a ride up and down the highway. And, it was really cool to get to ride in that Lamborghini. I'll tell you that. It was the second one I've rode in my life. And getting to ride a Lamborghini on a average Tuesday definitely made my day. That was a fun day getting around the Lamborghini. So yeah. And
while you're sort of thinking about it, let me give you another technical question. When you're estimating the amount of time it's going to take, is it by the square foot? Is it by the number of bedrooms, the number of rooms? How do you best guess that?
It's by the hour. If you tell me the amount of furniture you have, I have 3 beds, 3 dressers, 3 nightstands, 1 glass table. I'm just reading off stuff that I got. That's what I got in front of me. But if you tell me that, how many stairs there are, any elevators, all this stuff, I can give you a pretty accurate estimate, because we go back after every job. We go back and we check it out. We see how close our estimate was. And if it was way off, we ask the guys, we ask the customers, like, why did this go longer? And, just over a matter, I've been doing this on and off since giving estimates since 2003. So about 20 years now. You just have a feel for it. Like, I can tell you how long it's going to move a bedroom set and a dining room set and 50 boxes from a second floor to a first floor 30 minutes away. You just kind of.
You don't go and look at this. You don't go and look at the site beforehand. So.
No, just because we'll do 50 estimates today. Like, we don't have, it's just not, it's not worth it, because if I'm looking at that job, there's probably 3 other companies that are coming out there to look at it. And so you've got a 1 in 3 chance. I've got the same probability of booking the job if I just do it over the phone. Every once in a while, if it's a big job, and I feel it to be worth our time, and it's pretty close, I'll go do it. But otherwise, we have so many estimates. We physically couldn't. We don't have the time. And people don't realize, when somebody goes out there, somebody is paying for that person to go out and do that job. Now, we don't add any time because we don't do it a lot. It's maybe once every 3 months I'll do an in-person estimate. But normally, the people who do estimates on every single job, who do you think's paying for that? It's not the company. I'll tell you that. The client is, in the long run. You might not see it. It might not be out front, but somebody is paying for that person to drive there for an hour, stay an hour with you, and drive back. You know what I'm saying? Somebody is paying for that time. I can promise you.
So let's do some educating to the audience. What should people look for, and what should people ask before they hire somebody to move?
Good questions. Well, look for, of course, ratings. You want, go on the internet. Don't go to Yelp. Don't go to Yelp. Yelp is out of the question. Don't look at Yelp. I can tell you that. Well, because the way they do their, let's put it like this. I have 200 ratings. I have 200 reviews on Yelp, mostly all 5 stars. But they call it an algorithm. I have 200 ratings, but they only show 40. And if they factored in all 200, I would have like a 4.999. But they only factor in my bad ones for some reason. So if you look on my Yelp, I have 4 stars. It makes no sense. Most moving companies have moved away from Yelp. And what's really bad, when I first started, it was really like I used them a lot, but then it's Yelp is not, for a service industry, not just ours. And I hear this a lot. They do not let people, it's not a good rating service. But if like you go, they don't leave all your, they don't leave all your ratings up. They only leave, it's random. But if you go to Google and Google, Los Angeles, all these other places, they leave them all up. On Google, we have a 4.8, which quite honestly would be a 5, but we have like 10 on there that are not from they weren't our clients. I don't know if it's just competitors giving us bad ratings, and I'm not complaining one bit. I don't know who they are, but it just says like 1 star and like that's it. Or they'll say that, James and Steve came out and did my move yesterday and broke my table. We don't have a James and Steve working here. Can you just can you call us? Can we sort this out? And they don't call. And so instead of a 5.0, we have a 4.8, which we're still extremely proud of. But other than that, you want to look with, how long someone's been in business. But even though, quite honestly, I was business for 6 months and I was a good mover. So it's a little bit, but it just, it's not the deciding factor. Look at the price. If it's, get a couple of different estimates, of course. You don't want to hire anybody that's extremely high or extremely low. You want to hire, that Goldilocks right in the middle. You know what I'm saying? If I tell you 500 and another company tells you 550 and one company calls you 450, tells you 450, you want to be in that range. But if someone tells you $200, don't do that. Someone tells you $2,000, don't do that. You want to be one right in that Goldilocks zone. And so, yeah, you want to look for price and just comfortability. How do you feel? Have they responded? I mean, did you call them? They didn't answer. They called back the next day, even though they were open, or did they said they were going to send an email. Did they send the email to you? They, communication, it's just like anywhere else. Do you get a good feeling with these people, So ratings, price, how you feel, how long they've been in business. Make sure they're licensed and insured. Not necessarily everybody says bonded, but bonded's only if you have 2 or less trucks. Make sure they have the license. Make sure they're the insurance companies. We're dealing with a company right now that has opened up in Pinellas County, and we're getting about 2 calls a week. Oh, y'all were supposed to be here 8:00 today. Where are y'all at? But we're Swift Moves. They're Swift Movers or Swift Moving or something like that. So I'm dealing with this from somebody from the chamber, by the way. We're finding these people. We have to send a cease and desist letter because their names are too close to mine, but they're setting people up, making us look bad. So yeah, that's something that's another thing I'm dealing with. I've never had to deal with it because it's just this company, they're not even registered with sunbiz.org, but we're dealing with it. So yeah.
Do you have the trademark service mark?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's trademark, but I mean, we're with Sunbiz. We do I did everything I was legally supposed to do. And I've talked to lawyers and they said that's all we can do, I don't know if it's called a trademark, but I had to put something in the paper, advertise it for like a week or something like that, make sure nobody had the other name. And so I did that. So as far as I know, we're good to go.
Got it.
But I will check, and I'm going to now you got me worried about the trademark. I mean, is there supposed to be a trademark? Let me see. I'll find out. I'm already hiring a lawyer. I don't know if you know Tyler, but I'm already hiring him to find this other company and possibly sue them, which I do not want to do. I just want to send a cease and desist letter, and so they'll stop using our name. And maybe I can see if he can trademark it better, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, do look into that.
Yeah.
So what else have we not talked about that you would like to communicate to people about the moving industry? Maybe suggestions? What haven't we covered?
1 second. I mean, we covered, just tip your guys. Our guys, we tell every person when we book them, and we like to get the word out. Every time we book somebody, we tell them we have a list of policies. And we try not to be too overhanded with it. We will tell everybody, hey, our guys work hard. They try to save you time. They try to save you money. Tips are not required, but they are appreciated. Because you got to realize it's by the hour. It might be $180 an hour for 2 guys. Now, if these guys work hard, they get it done in 2 hours. These guys can make it look like they're working hard and make it drag on, an extra hour, and cost you that money. But no, these guys are working hard, trying to save you money in hopes of you tip them. Like, that's their motivation, is to work for tips. And guys, they make a lot of money from tips, a lot of money,
Well, that's not in my head, that's the type of service person to tip.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, that's what we try to tell everybody, and we understand that everybody can't tip. We get it. I mean, sometimes, it's moving is not the cheapest thing in the world, and it's stressful. You're thinking about 1,000 other things. That is something you should talk about. I mean, like, moving is one of the stressors. It's if I have to personally move myself, I'm fighting with my wife and pulling my hair out. It's a lot, but just go step by step. One of the best things I like about what I do is, once we knock on your door, your job is 95% done. It's not easy. I'm sure you probably bought a house before. It's not easy. There's 1,000 things to sign. You probably started this process 6 months ago. You've got to call a realtor. You've got to get your house ready. You've got to get the title, the escrow, the insurance, this. Switch all your credit cards over. Make sure your new place is good. Make sure the clients aren't, or your everybody's going to move in, all that stuff. So when we knock on that door, I kind of use a reference, like, we're at the top of the hill. Like, we've climbed this big hill for the last 6 months. In 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it's going to be, you're going to be in your new home. You're going to be unpacking your stuff. You've got your new, it's all brand new, and we get to take you there. And after we take that last piece off that truck, people are so like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the last 5 to 10%. We did that for them, and they're so happy. They're in a new neighborhood. They've got a new house, and they love it. And that, to me, always brought the best feeling in the world, because we did that last little push over the edge. They're so stressed, but now, like, when we knocked on the door, they're still stressed. But once we're done, they're not stressed anymore, because everything's done. The movers showed up. They did a good job. And now all we've got to do is, just put everything in place, unpack our boxes, and they get to enjoy their new home. So that, to me, has always been like the best part of moving. I've loved it. Yeah.
Do you ever do a welcome gift? I could see how a bottle of champagne or a fruit basket or something like that would be a cool.
We've thought of that. We did some stuff like that, and this and that, and it just wasn't really a good ROI, I guess you could say. Like, but there's, we do follow-up calls and stuff like that, and we just don't want to put more stuff. They're already moving. We don't want to give them more stuff. You know what I'm saying? For most of the time, they're like, most people are purging whenever they move. We don't want to give them another thing. I know it's probably not good marketing, but we don't want to give them another thing that they have to worry about. We're trying to get, trying to have them minimalize, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'll think about it. Maybe something clever that people would really appreciate. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so, one thing I can tell is that you've got passion for this work. I mean, it comes through your pores as you're talking about it, enthusiasm and passion. And that's probably the most important thing, in my view, about being in business. Is, are you passionate about doing a good job? And I think it's obvious that you care about it and you're passionate. So you're fortunate that you do what you love and love what you do. So how can people best reach you? Give us the different ways that people can contact you.
Well, the best just to call in, call into the line 727-501-2769. Just swiftmovesllc.com. Swiftmovesllc.com.
Got it. Okay. Well, this has been awesome. It's enlightened me on how the industry works and how the business works. Thanks, Jeremy, for joining me today to talk more about the moving industry. I have learned a lot, and hopefully, all of you out there have done the same. To learn more, please see his information down in the show notes. We'll put the website and phone number down there. You can also look for more information about OutMarket.Pro down in the show notes, or visiting online at www.outmarket.pro. If you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe, and be sure to click the notification bell to catch future episodes. And thanks again, Jeremy, and we'll see you next time on the OutMarket.Pro podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. This means a lot to me. I've been looking forward to it for a couple of weeks now. So thank you so much.